We all talk about how colourful and fantastical the world of Sonic is. Great green hills and emerald loops, aquatic ruins and mechanical deserts, and what helps contribute to this world is the stories told. Granted, they're not all well written or deeply developed stories, but what do you expect? It's a fast blue needle mouse battling a hard-boiled scientist with a subtext of environmentalism. No, seriously, that part is true. This is why the story in Sonic Forces was such a big deal. For years, we wanted a story in a Sonic game that was more mature, more serious than the past 7 years of meta jokes and puns. But Forces failed so hard on this that the overall tone of the story felt flat and meaningless. We were told that there was bad stuff happening, rather than showing us the might of Eggman's forces. No risks, no sacrifices, even Sonic's supposed death and imprisonment was brushed off like a bad weekend. This is what we got after 10 years of self-deprecating jokes. Hate all you want on the dark age of Sonic and its games surrounding that period, but it had some of the best stories Sonic has ever had. Sonic Adventure, Black Knight, Shadow the Hedgehog when you understood it, hell, even Sonic 2006 tried. There were actual stakes at hand then. We saw firsthand of what our heroes were up against. Eggman being capable of time travel, the destruction of the White House, the merging and collapse of dimensions. These were unexpected turns in the stories told. And before anyone asks, no, I don't want the stories of Sonic to go so dark it becomes an issue of the boys, but you can write a more mature and grounded story with Sonic without relying exclusively on cheap jokes and nostalgia. Sonic and the Black Knight comes to mind. But I won't lie, there have been a few moments in Sonic's history where they have gone a bit too far. These moments I'm about to list are not what you think of when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog. Necessary for the story told? Sure, but these events were pretty dark. For example, genocide. Yes, we're starting strong with this. The literal eradication of the Echidna race, thousands of years ago by the hands of Perfect Chaos in Sonic Adventure. Yes, at one point I did theorize that some Echidnas may have escaped Chaos's wrath and lived on Angel Island, only to die out, leaving Knuckles the lone surviving Echidna. But that just makes it worse. An entire civilization wiped out because of their greed and thirst for power. And you know for a fact that Chaos took out a few dozen more lives when it flooded Station Square. Everyone escaped unharmed? Bullshit, Sonic X. Bullshit. Or how about the time when Sonic died? Mephiles concocted a scheme to make Elise cry with despair and thus releasing Iblis, the Flames of Disaster. Simply tricking Silver into killing Sonic and triggering Iblis' return, making himself the Iblis trigger. Too bad he didn't plan on the heroes being smarter than him, so he just kills Sonic outright. No, seriously, he's dead. Sure, he comes back to life due to the Ex Machina that are the Chaos Emeralds, but think about this for a second. Sega and Sonic Team literally killed off Sonic as a plot device in their game. Truth be told, it's not the first time they used this trope. Take Maria Robotnik for example. Yes, Maria's death. The catalyst that set forth a revenge plot harpooned by Professor Gerald Robotnik, who in turn altered Shadow the Hedgehog's memories while the professor was forced to work under the military supervision. But after Gunn obtained Shadow's capsule, the professor saw Maria's name along the list of deceased. He slowly lost his mind and changed the purpose of Shadow and the Eclipse canon. Gunn feared that he would retaliate and thus had him incarcerated on Prison Island with his project sealed away. This is why Shadow thought Maria's final wish was revenge rather than being the beacon of hope. Not to mention altering the failsafe on the Ark once all the emeralds were installed, turning the Ark into a literal weapon to destroy Earth. All because of Maria's demise brought about by the Guardian Unit of Nations. But let's not forget about Gerald's execution. Though you don't see it, you can certainly hear it. Again, this all stemmed from Maria's death aboard the Ark. And what makes his death even more chilling is that he described in precise detail what would happen when his plan for revenge went into effect. It wasn't some ramblings of a good man gone mad. He predicted this down to the last second. And finally, a freaking alien invasion in Shadow the Hedgehog. There's no beating around the bush with this one. In the literal intro to the game, we see the Black Arms wreaking havoc on the city and its populace. The driver and possible passengers in that car are dead. We see this throughout the game as gun soldiers try and stop the invading force. This is the darkest story in Sonic's history bar none. The other moments I mentioned, their games were at least upbeat and relatively normal before shit hit the fan, but this is just dark throughout. And to top it all off is how Black Doom describes the salvation of humanity. By paralyzing them with a gas and using them as livestock for their sustenance. Lovely. Fun for all the family.